What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Too Much Test Podcast, episode 42. I am here with Sam Stolt, as always. If you are new to this, you can find all the stuff that we're associated with in the description below. We are on Insta. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube under Test Your Levels. I also have a new channel called Testosterone and Men's Health. That's my new channel because YouTube censored my old one. And I'll turn it over to Sam. What's going on, Sam?
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. You guys can check out my shit on Instagram or on YouTube or TikTok or any place where you find my shit. Basically, I'm doing awesome. Also, you should check out our sponsors. We have HC Gains as well as the Triggered brand. Check them out. They're nice enough to sponsor the show. So if you guys enjoy the show and you want to check out some cool stuff, check out hcgains.com and the Triggered brand. So. How you doing, dude? It's good to see you.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Nothing too crazy. Just plugging away like normal. I just started taking a supplement that you could actually find on Triggered brand that's for research only, which is MK-677, and a lot of guys really like that. You've taken MK before?
Yes, but let's just tell people to not take anything that we talk about in the show.
Of course, no. I meant Squeakers, my rat. That's what I.
Yeah. This is just for
Squeaker. Me and Squeakers, we're like this, so sometimes I talk in the first person. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, of course. I've researched with my rat MK-677 for there's an ulnar nerve in your elbow that kind of runs down your arm and then goes down into your hand, and it was inflamed or injured somehow. Where if I'm laying in bed and I just go to push my arm down to like roll in the opposite direction, or if I'm in a chair and I go to like kind of push myself up as I stand up, my elbow would be like inflamed and it would hurt a ton. So this was going on for a couple of years.
Oh,
and
wow.
then I decided to like test out MK-677. But I had read like, oh, it takes a long time. It takes a long time. You need to take it for a long time for it to notice anything. So I started MK-677, and probably within 3 months, I noticed probably around a 50% reduction in the pain in my elbow. Still there. I couldn't do like shoulders or like triceps or chest the same way because I'd get like this pain in my elbow. But after about 6 months, it had substantially improved. I ended up taking it for about a year, 14 months straight, and it healed my elbow. Like I was like, thank goodness, because it had been hurting me for 2 years before that. So I was thankful.
Yeah, I've heard 6 months is kind of like the sweet spot before you really see, the good majority of the results on MK-677. And I was also reading, and this is pure bro science because it's a research compound, but that pretty much over 12.5 milligrams, so 0 to 12.5 milligrams is where you're going to have that human growth hormone spike. And then after the 12.5 milligrams up to 25 is where you're going to see more of that IGF spike. So kind of like the MK will raise your human growth hormone levels to a certain point, and then after you jump above that, then it's more raises your IGF levels, which, some people, attribute that to, increased cancer growth if you already had it, stuff like that. So I've actually been only researching with 10 milligrams. And if you follow this podcast, I was like, I'm one of those people that's going to get all those crazy side effects and, my rat, of course, and my rat hasn't really gotten anything bad. No real notice increase in hunger, no hypoglycemia, no sugar, no nothing. So it's been relatively uneventful.
Did you notice anything with sleep or anything?
I had a crazy dream where I was at some freaking car event, and there were 2 ex-girlfriends there that were like cool with me, but then they started being against me and were like trying to attack me and stuff. So I've heard that MK can cause crazy dreams. And sometimes I have random dreams, but I've had one, and my rat Squeakers has had one in the past 4 or 5 days of researching it. So maybe.
Do you think that that might have been from the MK potentially?
Possibly. I mean, if I could control that and have better dreams where people aren't attacking me, especially ex-girlfriends, that'd be cool. These bitches attacked me enough when I was with them. They can't be hitting me in my sleep too.
They were physically attacking you in your dream?
I don't think they were physically attacking me. They were just like, it was just like, there was just a negative energy. Like there was something, they were angry with me. They were like trying to mess with me, like in some way. I don't know. It was weird. It was like an apocalyptic, like drifting type contest type thing. And I don't know. It's weird how some of those dreams stick with you. And then sometimes when you have dreams, like you wake up and you're like, I'm totally going to remember this dream. That was badass. And then 5 seconds later, you have no
It's
idea how
gone.
man, I wish if someone could harness a product that could make you remember your dreams selectively, that'd be so awesome.
Think of, or like when you get up to go to the bathroom, right? Yeah. So a lot of times I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And when I do that, sometimes I'll be like having this dope ass dream, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool dream. And I have the thought like, oh, I want to pick up where I left off in that dream. I don't know if you ever thought that, but like
Yeah.
you wake up, you got to go to the bathroom, you're like, oh man, I want to get back into that dream. But like you try to like imprint it into your brain to like remember what it was so you can start thinking about it as soon as you get back into bed. And like a fraction of a millisecond later, it's gone. It's like
Yep.
not in your mind at all. And you're awake and you're like, fuck, I'm just taking a piss. Now I'm laying in bed. No idea what that dream was.
That sucks. And I was, Joe Rogan talks a lot about DMT and how like DMT, I've never personally tried DMT, but I guess, like when you smoke DMT, like you're in like a different world for like 15, 20 minutes. But we have DMT in our body produces it. Like why would your body produce such a powerful psychedelic in your brain? And a lot of people think about it that it like, maybe it when you're sleeping, it keeps your brain busy, and I don't know, lets it just go crazy and wild. And I don't know why, but I don't know, it is pretty wild that your brain produces a substance that's illegal.
Would you ever, that is kind of interesting, right? Um,
Yeah, same thing
would you
with
ever,
testosterone.
would you ever try that?
I would. I've tried other psychedelics. I've never been around anywhere where I could try DMT, but I do want to try that. I do want to try ayahuasca at some point. Um, Dude, I mean, we're on this planet, and I feel like we're on this planet for a very short time. And to be able to try something that completely puts you in a different world that is relatively safe, I want to experience that. For me, life is all about experiences. I'm never going to look back at my 70-inch TV and be like, that was a fucking dope ass TV. I'm glad I bought the updated version, the class 5 TV, because the picture was so much more, the blacks were so much more black. Fuck that. I'm all about experiences. So that's kind of how I've evolved over in life. Like I used to care about flashy shit. Now I don't even care. But dude, I want to try some of this. I've tried some psychedelics. I've tried LSD. I like it while I'm on it. I hate it when I can't go to sleep. Let's say I've researched. I've researched with psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin or whatever the hell it is. That was my favorite experience because 4 hours, you're having a blast, and then you can go right back to sleep.
Oh man, so I've done DMT, but also mushrooms. And I can't. I think I told you about the mushrooms, and I can't. I don't have any desire to do mushrooms ever again.
Really?
After my experience, I've taken them, a handful of times, like maybe less than 10 times probably. But I was home alone, and this is when I had I think I had 2 roommates at the time, and I was home alone. They were out, and I had I think 12 or 13 grams of mushrooms. So if you're not like familiar with mushrooms and you're listening to this, like a normal dose for like mushrooms might be like 1 gram, like half a gram if you're brand new, or like you're like a small in terms of like you're not 240 pounds. Maybe 1.5 grams or 2 grams if you really want to get like fucked up. Well, but I didn't know any of this stuff. I bought it from my buddy. He's like, "Oh, I got some extra ones. You want to buy them?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take some," because I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna get these again. And nobody was home, so I just started eating them. I don't even know how much I actually bought. Like I didn't have any, but what I just told you, I knew nothing about. Like I was just, I had no idea how much of these to take. Let me just take some of them, and then after 11 grams, so 11 grams is like a ungodly amount. It's like maybe having a entire 750 ml of vodka to your face. Maybe that magnitude. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that
to put it in context, dried mushrooms barely weigh anything. So think about it like that. This isn't like a portobello mushroom where you got like a little half a mushroom. This is a bunch of dried mushrooms that weigh almost nothing without water in them.
it was an intense time where I couldn't see. So that the reason I probably didn't have 12 or 13 grams is because my buddy came home at some point and let him have whatever was left of the mushrooms. But the amount, like, I couldn't function as a human. I couldn't see anybody's face. I woke up on the floor because I went to the bathroom and I was like trying to get it back to my bedroom. No idea where my bedroom was. I was like, I literally had no idea. I didn't even think it was my house. So I just like, okay, literally no idea what to do, where I am, what do I do? Okay, let me just crawl up on the floor and sleep here because I had no idea where I was.
Yeah.
And then
you found your safe space.
At some point, I get into my bedroom because I have no idea the time frame of all this taking place. I get into my bedroom and I'm laying there and you close your eyes and like everything is moving around. Like it's like you're still awake, but even though your eyes are closed and everything is like moving in the room. And then you start like talking to yourself mentally and the stories, like I get to the point where it's like, are you okay with, this thing happening or this thing happening? Like just questioning a lot of things in the curiosity standpoint. And you get to the point where it's like, are you okay with killing yourself? Like, are you okay with that? Are you okay with dying? Right. And it was like, yeah. And it was like, oh, well, the kitchen's right over there. There's a big knife on the counter. And it was just like, I was like, holy shit, this is pretty intense. And I was like, I don't ever want to take these again.
That's that's a lot, man. Yeah. I mean, I know people have had bad experiences with, with psychedelics, and typically the most common is too much, or someone who has some anxiety or something brewing under them that they haven't really dealt with, anxiety, molestation, abuse, stuff like that. And that's where that dark part of your brain can come out. For me, I've never had that. My only thing with psychedelics is not being able to go to sleep. I remember one time, this was back when, this was back when gel tabs were a thing, which is essentially when people would make LSD, they would pour it onto, if you take, like in a classroom, those like that plastic cover that's over the fluorescent lights, how it has like dimples in it and it looks like serrated. You basically would cook this stuff up, and I don't know how the hell to make it, but you pour it on that thing and let it dry, and then it would be in little squares and you'd cut them up. So anyway, that's what was going around. And I remember I ended up staying at a buddy's house and I was trying to sleep, and bro, I was playing Sonic the Hedgehog in my head. Like I was playing the game and I just saw the little Sonic spinning and the coins ding, 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 ding. And I couldn't sleep, man. And it sucks. I was up for like 12 hours total. Like I tried to go to sleep at like 2:00 and I never didn't go to sleep till like 2:00 the next day. Sucks. It's fun while it lasts, but psychedelics are crazy, man. I mean, I know ayahuasca, and this is an interesting, I didn't really know about this, but so ayahuasca is 2 compounds. By itself, the DMT and whatever plant it is won't do shit for you because it gets torn up in your stomach by something. It's like DMO inhibitor. Long story short, you have to add another plant to it that has I think it's an MAO inhibitor to allow the DMT to make it into your body and make that first pass. Otherwise, it just gets destroyed in your stomach.
Is that why people vomit when they do those ayahuasca trips?
I don't think it's necessarily, I think the plants themselves, one of them or the combination of the two makes you puke, but the chemical reaction of the DMT and the MAO inhibitor, without those two being combined, the DMT will not get into your system and you will not trip. So at some point, some of these, the civilization that lived in the jungle, somehow, I don't know, maybe someone kicked over a bucket and the two got mixed and they drank it. And then a half hour later, they're like, oh, whoa, I'm seeing the gods now. But it's pretty wild that those two together, 2 random plants put together, makes that work. That's just amazing to me.
That is crazy. On the MK-677 piece of things,
Yeah, we kind of got
Gotcha.
off track there a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you. Is that daily, or are you doing something like every other day? I was reading something. I think it was probably like a headline or like the abstract on a paper where they were talking about how the effect. I think it was in kids, but the effect on the kids' blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity was like a fraction of the. So when I'm saying this is a negative thing for people who take HGH, was negative, meaning like, let me start from the beginning on this one. So if normally you take HGH every single day, right? So that on some people can have a negative impact on their blood sugar levels and their insulin sensitivity.
Yeah.
When they switched to every other day injections, the impact on blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity was like a fraction of like what it was when it was taken every single day, but the HGH levels were still like elevated or up. Like maybe it was they were measuring IGF-1 levels. I should try to find that again. And that's why I wanted to ask you if hey, are you researching with it every day? Or are you researching with it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
So far what I've researched with is I started on Monday night because I was like, okay, I just want to make sure that I don't have a crazy bad reaction to this. I don't want to wake up on Monday or Tuesday morning and take it and just be starving all day and just become a fat bastard. So tried it. So long story short, I've been doing it every day so far this week, and I'm going to cycle off Saturday and Sunday. So I'm doing 5 on, 2 off. I mean, I'm also doing lower dosage. I'm not doing 25 milligrams a day. I'm only doing 10.
Yes. And are you doing morning or evening?
Evening. I think I tried it on Monday morning to see what the reaction would be. That's what I meant to say, to see if I had any negative reaction. I don't want to die in my sleep. At least I want to give myself a chance to call the ambulance if I was the one person that, had a bad reaction to it. Like I'd be the one person that has like anaphylactic shock from MK-677. I'd be like a case study.
What do you think? Like, because you're very open to like testosterone or DECA or probably like Anavar or some of you probably even like D-ball, right? I would think, or Anavar or like Anadrol.
I've never. I'm blurry now. The only oral I've ever taken was Winstrol, and that was not designed as a steroid cycle. That was designed as a PCT to help keep gains. And if you're thinking that I'm stupid, yes, I was stupid then. I was like 20 something. No idea what I was talking about. My first cycle, I put on a bunch of muscle, a bunch of water, lost it all. So I figured, well, I'll take something that's a steroid to help with that PCT so that I don't lose that muscle, which is obviously idiotic if you know anything about steroids.
Yeah. Isn't Winstrol like suppressive?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's suppressive. I was taking testosterone, and then I was taking Winstrol, which is suppressive, and Clomid to try to be non-suppressive and restart that system. So I was basically having like Clomid and Winstrol fight. I don't know who won at that point, and I eventually on TRT. So I feel like the Winstrol maybe won that one. Winstrol for the win.
Have you ever? I've thought about it, but I've never actually decided to do it. But I've never actually run like 500 milligrams of testosterone a week. I think when I was like 17 or 18, I did like a cycle or a couple cycles in a row, and I gained like 30 fucking pounds. It was like, holy shit! Like everybody was like, "What are you doing? You've gained so much. All your clothes like barely fit you anymore." And you just look like a man relative to all your friends who are like teenagers. You know what I mean?
Rocking the mustache at like 16.
But like, you know how you get like muscle maturity as you like from testosterone. If you have a dude who's 26 years old or 18 years old who's on testosterone, and you have a dude who's 18 years old who's not on a testosterone, you get to. If you know what testosterone is, you can clearly fucking tell that like one of them is doing something and one of them has a much more mature look to their physique than the other one who's going to be soft, very soft looking. even if they're both working out. And
Mhm.
that time I did like 500, I believe. I don't actually know what the fuck I was doing. I was taking white pills, and I was taking like injections 2 times a week. No idea what I was doing, in all honesty. Just like, you know what I mean? We didn't know what the F we were doing at all. But I've thought about trying that again. Not having no idea what I'm doing, but going through and trying like a 500 milligram cycle. What are your thoughts on something like that? Getting blood work done and then doing a 500 milligram cycle, or because I know that you have a different risk profile mentally
Mhm.
than I do, and I appreciate that, but I want to hear your perspective on doing something like that. Is that like, how do you see that?
I mean, I would say first off, I mean, you know that 500 milligrams is a beginner cycle, and I think you're an advanced lifter. So I say you jump that up to like 750 or a gram. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're gonna, I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't do that. Um, I'm less risk adverse to testosterone. I know how I react to 500 milligrams of testosterone. So it doesn't, not saying it, I don't think about long term effects, but I'm saying short term. I did my TRT shot yesterday to, 125 milligrams. I could go walk in my bathroom right after the show and pin 500, and I know I'm going to be fine. Now, long term wise, you know what I'm saying? That's not going to be great for my cholesterol and, all that other good stuff. But because I'm 40 years old, so you start to think of that longevity a little bit. I saw a video earlier today that said stop calling 50 middle aged. You're not middle aged at 50. Most people in America, most guys don't really live past 70, 75 in general. So when you're 37 and a half, you're middle aged. So the idea of the video was, go out and do what you want to do, get your shit done, build whatever you want to build. So you start thinking about longevity and you start thinking to yourself, all right, I'm 40 years old. I have a wildly successful YouTube channel with 400 people. Do I really want to kick the bucket extra early with all these, these things that I've built over the years? But you start to think like, okay, like for you, my thought process for Sam would be, you're already fucking jacked. You're bigger than 99% of the population. A, being 6'3", B, working out consistently, and being a steroid abuser and an addict. But like, is it would okay, so I'll pose a question to you. Would you knowingly do this cycle if you knew that it would take 2 years off your life?
No.
No. Would you would you run would you if you could run 4 cycles and add 20 pounds of muscle, but you knew it would take 1 year off your life, would you do it?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't think I would.
That's so. I mean, obviously, no one knows how anyone's going to kick the bucket, but I know there's some bodybuilders that if you told them they could run whatever they want and it would take 5 years off their life, they would be like, let's do it.
Which is a crazy thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, I've never thought that way. That's why I've never like run 500 milligrams of testosterone, except for when I was 18. I had no idea what I was doing. Right.
Yeah.
But I've thought about trying it out, and I don't know if I mean, we both read on this stuff. We talk to lots of people in this arena. Like you talk to a lot of people in that TRT like community often. Um, I don't know if I believe that there's a ton of long-term consequences from doing something for a short period of time, like in the extreme, right? Like when you do things that and I use like sports or something, but like I don't know. I just don't. Do you think? I don't. Do you feel? And your honest opinion. What do you think? Do you think that 500 milligrams of testosterone for say 8 weeks, 12 weeks, or something is detrimental long term to one's health? Because I think I think 2 years ago or something, or a year and a half ago, you were testing out larger dosages, right?
I've run larger dosages, probably, I'd say probably 5 times in my life, probably up to when you're talking like 500. I've probably done that like 4 or 5 times. I mean, it depends. I mean, so, okay. So you run 8 weeks at 500 and I run 16 weeks at 500. Like, is there any difference in that? Is there a difference because you take a break and get back to a baseline? Does that make a difference? So there's lots of different ways to look at it. I mean, so if I go out and smoke a pack of cigarettes today, let's say I smoke 1 pack of cigarettes a month. I mean, that's not going to be as bad as smoking a pack a day, but I do think it's going to have, well, I don't know. I don't know if smoking and a natural hormone is is the right way to look at it. Maybe alcohol. I go out and drink a 750 once a week or once a month. I don't know. I think everything has a cumulative effect, but I think it is better to give your body a break because the body can recover very well. Someone said, don't look at bodybuilders of how I can't remember what it is. It basically was like how the body is able to, how resistant the body is based on what they do to their bodies, and that some of them are still alive. It was like how resilient the body is.
Yeah, but one of the things that so like when you talk to people, like you hear the words that they say. So these are the things that they clearly believe because these are the words that are coming out of their mouth. And I call them like the stories that people tell themselves, right? It's just the reality that they choose to make up or choose to believe about their reality. Whether that has, like, people don't like to hear this, but their stories are just fucking made up, right? So you're like, if you go through and you choose to believe that something is negative, then our fucking mind is incredibly powerful, to the point where, like, you say we're doing this podcast and you're like, oh, you just had the argument with the wife, right? Or whatever the case is. And you're thinking about that, even though you're literally sitting here having a conversation with me, mentally, you're thinking about that. So what that means is you're not actually here, right? And that's a powerful thing to grasp. So when you think about those things, or the example of like a doctor, and he has a choice of treating 2 patients. One patient who says, oh, this is a easy procedure. I'm going to be in, and 45 minutes later, I'm going to be out, and I'll be healed in 2 days and be back to my normal life. And the other patient is more along the lines of like, oh shit, this is going to get fucked up. I'm going to be here for 5 hours. There's going to be complications, and then it's going to take months for me to recover. If I ever even do recover, who is the doctor going to want to deal with? The patient who is like, oh yeah, this is not going to be a problem at all. It's super easy, because that's how powerful our mind is. So when I think about the testosterone, right, the 500 milligrams, and what you were saying about, like, say 8 weeks or 16 weeks, and I don't plan on like taking a 500 testosterone every year, or even for like every other year. Like, I just thought it might be fun experience to do. But I wouldn't necessarily want to do that thing every single year. But I was like, oh, that might be interesting. Might be fun to do. Might be fun to make some content around that. See what it's like. Use the blood work to make more content around it and all that kind of stuff. But I also don't tell myself the story that is completely detrimental. But maybe deep down there is something there, because I also don't ever take 500, and I haven't taken 500.
I hear a lot of justification. If I hear what you're saying is that if you keep a positive attitude and you think the testosterone won't hurt you, it's not going to hurt you. You know, it's. I mean, you do 500 for 8 weeks. I don't think that's going to hurt anything. I mean, the guys that run into big trouble, and you'll see them on the documentaries, they're like, oh, this guy used to be a bodybuilder and now he's 42 and he has a heart arrhythmia, you know, and they'll talk about testosterone because that's that's as far as most people know about hormones and steroids. What they're not going to say is the guy was running 750 tests, 300 AQ, 500 DECA, and then, you know, 500 trend, you know, 5 weeks out, and then he switches to Prop and he's taking Winstrol, you know what I'm saying? Like, that crazy combination and those crazy high doses, I think, are where a lot of people get into trouble. And all those outside of pretty much testosterone are not natural substances. They are synthetic. You know, they're tweaked, they're modified, they're sliced off, there's things added to them. So I think 500 test is the safest steroid cycle that you can do, which is not a safe thing to be doing in general. and we don't recommend it. We don't condone it. This is purely for entertainment purposes only.
Yes. That might be an interesting test to try that out.
It's fun. I did 500 tests when I was younger in my 20s before I knew nothing. I had no idea what estrogen was. I knew what it was, but I had no idea what Arimidex was. So I remember I had this. Do you remember like Affliction, those type of shirts? That back in the day, the Affliction shirts, they were tighter shirts, shorter sleeves.
Oh yeah.
So I remember
all like the gay boys were wearing those ones.
Pretty much.
Was that you?
They had the crosses. We wore them to the gay clubs. It was awesome. But they had those type of style of shirts. I don't know. I was broke as shit at the time, so I went to Walmart and bought like knockoff type Affliction shirts. I remember I had this white shirt that had like crows and shit on it, and it was fairly snug on me in the first place. And I remember when probably about 8 weeks into my cycle, man, I remember wearing that shirt at the bar. And dude, that thing barely fit me. My arms were like, it was like coming, you know what I'm saying? It was water weight. It was probably like 20 pounds of water weight from not eating healthy and doing 500 milligrams a test. But I tell you what, I had a fucking blast. I had an awesome time. I felt fantastic, and the gym was fun.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking about this, because the gym has been a lot of fun training. Like, I've been training for 20 years, right? And there's periods of time where I haven't necessarily I don't want to say enjoyed it, but wasn't really present or really trying to focus on the lifts and whatnot. And over the last probably good portion of 2022, I've been really the thing that I'm working on in the gym is the focus. Just focus on the workout the entire time and really just focus on it. And I'm really enjoying my workout. So I'm like, okay, this is literally the best my diet's ever been and the most consistent my diet's ever been. I literally haven't had any drink. And not that I drink to start with, but maybe twice a month, we'll have a bottle of wine. My girlfriend and I will have a bottle of wine, and we'll just have half a glass of wine or something like that, or that type of thing, but haven't had anything to drink in over a month. Cardio 7 days a week, roughly. Everything's on point, a gallon plus of water every single day. I'm sleeping at the same time every day, getting up at the same time every day. Everything's on point. And then I'm really enjoying the gym. It's fuck, I wonder how much fun that would be to to go from, I don't know. I'm just trying to talk myself into doing it.
So everything I'm doing, everything healthy. So I can treat myself to 500 tests is what I hear.
Basically, that's what I'm trying to justify mentally for myself. Here's the thing. Would you rather do 500 milligrams of test, say for 12 or 16 weeks, or do 2 IUs of HGH every other day for 6 to 8 months?
I don't see the comparison there. I've been running 250 tests, so that's kind of like TRT plus. That's what I've been doing for the past few months. And I'm actually fitting to get some blood work here soon, and I'm coming up on, I think it's 4 months since I last donated blood, so I'm going to go donate that. No symptoms. I don't believe my hematocrit's high, but I do it anyway, and they give me cookies and apple juice.
You've got friends that you know more about the insurance thing, from some of the friends I think you've told me about before. Does insurance cover blood work? I've always just paid for mine out of my pocket.
It totally depends, man. It's such a broken system. So last time I went to get blood work through insurance, I got a $716 bill because the normal doctor didn't code it properly as, dude, I opened it up. I'm like, there we go, $700. And it was it was regular TRT labs plus normal stuff. But they didn't cover the testosterone. They didn't want to cover this, not because they wouldn't cover it, because it was coded wrong. So I have to get them on the phone, deal with a bunch of bullshit. I mean, honestly, I think everyone wants to save money, but it depends on your insurance. I'll put it that way. basically, what's the cost of medicine? You're asking that question. What's the cost of this prescription? Well, if you go here, it's this cost. If you get it over here, it's this cost. If you have insurance, it's, I don't know.
I've had insurance over the last 2 years or something, because before that I didn't have insurance, and I don't go through insurance to do blood work. I order my own blood work, and it's just literally because you don't know the cost of this. And I think this is a trend that I would like to see. Transparency in pricing from a medical standpoint, because I'm sure I'm not the only dude who thinks this. Like, you don't even particularly want to go to a doctor to get blood work done anyway, because it's just your time. It's like time consuming, but also because you don't know what they're going to try to charge for everything. Yep. You don't know. And that is an issue that many millions of people deal with, that this system we have here in the United States. And I'm not saying that you should change the system in terms of like capitalism necessarily, but there needs to be more transparency. There has to be more transparency, because like this is not going to lead to a good outcome, whether that's 10, 20, 30, 60 years down the road. This leads to lots of issues down the road by structuring things this way. But I wanted to go back to the testosterone and HGH.
You're not fully convinced yet that you can do this? You want to give me some justifications? I've got a sick beard. I've been eating pretty healthy. It's November. It's no nut November. It's no shave November. So 500. I mean, listen. I'll grab one of these bottles, Sam. This is for you, buddy. This is you can do the 500.
Oh, wow. For anybody who's listening, TYL has a shelf behind him, one of those like shelves where it's got cubes, they're black cubes, and on the top of his shelf behind him, so it's lit up, it looks all nice and everything. And the first thing that I noticed is across the top, he has probably about 137 vials of testosterone.
They're not all testosterone.
There's not quite 137, but there's probably a good 40 vials across the top there.
Yeah.
Those are also peptide vials.
It's everything. So if you're watching this little, I don't know, it's called like a shadow board or some shit. So I was filling, my wife had one left over. So I just started throwing all my empty vials of like HCG, B12, carnitine, testosterone, all of it. And I was stacking it up, and I was like, that would look really cool going across there. So, but yeah, that's a good majority of the stuff that I've taken. A lot of it's like B12, a lot of it's little HCG bottles, stuff like that.
One potential thought on that from just a viewer standpoint, as in like me looking at this, move the stuff behind it and put like a light strip across there, so it's just the vials with light behind them.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think it will make it pop out even more. But testosterone, HGH. You're like, I don't even think that's a comparison, but I want to dive into that. Why don't you think that the comparison of a couple IUs every other day of HGH versus 500 milligrams of testosterone is a comparison?
I think it's two different mechanisms. I think HGH has its place. I view HGH, or, not the hormone itself, but adding, peptides and stuff to take more of it. I view more of that as like, once you've like kind of like, you've got the testosterone, you've got any other compounds, like let's just say, like I'm just talking about like TRT wise, oxandrolone, DECA, whatever it is. I think then the peptides is like that next like little baby step toward like more like optimization. I picture more of guys like in their 50s who are on TRT and like taking, Anavar or DECA here and there, and they get on the peptides. I view that as kind of like, a little bit like a step up for the optimization. But I don't see like, yo, bro, what are you running? Well, I'm on like 200 tests. I'm on 3 IUs of growth. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, 6 cycle, bro, 3 IUs. That's sick. I just don't view HGH like that.
Do you think that, not from the muscle building standpoint, I completely agree, right?
Okay. I see where you're going.
like I'm sitting here. Today was shoulder day, right? And um, I'm not that I'm in like excruciating pain of any sort, and that it's even like a pinching of any sort, but there's a tiny bit of ache in my elbows, or sometimes my lower back doesn't feel super great, or my knee hurts a little bit, right? Or maybe a shoulder's a little tight, right? So it was more so like on the standpoint of, hey, doing the HGH thing for 6 months, and having all of those issues, even though it's not a daily thing, even though it's not like, oh my God, this is so bad. Oh, I hurt so much. It's just like there's that little ache here and there every once in a while that you're like, it would be cool to not have those. Not that it's like excruciating, not that it's bad, not that it's every day, right? Like I'm sure once I go to sleep tomorrow, my elbow I won't even notice it, and I might not notice it for several weeks, right? But in this exact moment, I'm like, oh, I kind of feel something in my elbow. Not that it's like all the time. So I was thinking from like, okay, 16 weeks or 12 weeks, testosterone, yes, you build a lot of muscle, right? You probably feel awesome too, and you don't even notice those things I was just mentioning as well for that short period of time. And you create more of them, right? Versus the HGH, which is more subtle. It's the optimization piece of things. A lot of the times I think of like the HGH as more of a longevity type of play. And we don't, with the jury's still out on that. Is it really like helpful for longevity, or is it like increasing the quality of one's life during living, right? So say you still die at the same age, but maybe if you're going to die, I'm going to probably go at 160 or something, right? So say 160, but I can live a voracious full life during that time. You know what I mean? Versus like
Quality versus quantity.
Yes. So what do you think about it from that standpoint, now that I've added more context?
If I hear what you're saying is you want to run 500 tests, 200 DECA for the joint pain, and then 3 IUs of growth. That's what for 16 weeks. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Kind of.
No. I mean, I guess what you're saying, like, would you? I mean, I would just do both. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's essentially what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm taking 250 tests and I'm taking 10 milligrams of MK-677. Now I'm doing this more as an experiment, more of just the experience, be able to relay people what I experienced, and, I don't sell it or anything like that. So I have no dog in the fight. The fuck was I going with that?
How about
But
HGH and stacking them?
yeah, overall, and what you mentioned is joint pain, and that's kind of sucks getting old. I was doing like bent over rows with the barbell, and my back, I felt it in my back the next day, and the day after that, I felt it in my back too. Am I taking MK thinking that that's going to fix that? No. It may provide some benefit over the long term, but I hate to tell you this, Sam, but getting old sucks. And when you lift heavy weights, just as you get stronger and stronger, it puts more strain on those joints. I've had those pains in my elbow. I've had it where, have you ever had it when you curl and like you can feel it like in your forearm, like this feels like your tendons are super tight and it hurts. I dislocated the shoulder multiple times, so that always hurts in the gym. Yeah, welcome to getting old, Sam. It sucks. So just mask it with drugs.
I don't really lift heavy though. Like if you see me in the gym, you're like, what the fuck is this 240-pound dude who's lifting like shoulders with 20 pounds, right? Like, and you see the dudes who like are probably thinking this, who come over and they'll do the same type of exercise and they'll grab the 35s and do lateral raises. And I was like, bro, you don't need to get your ego involved. But like, because I hear from people all the time that say, hey, oh, I'm like, enjoy it while you're that age, or do it this age. Cause when I used to lift like that, I would do a lot of weight and I fucked up my shit. Right. So, and I've been hearing, cause I've been doing the gym thing for a long time, right? 20 plus years. So I hear these old folks, or like just from experience, saying, hey, that they get injured a lot. So I've always been like at least conscious of that, and knew that I want to do this for the rest of my life in terms of working out. You know what I mean? So
And then I guess when I said lifting heavy weights, I mean, I should have specified not lifting heavy, like compared to, like a lot of guys do. I'm just saying like, you're lifting more weights than the majority of people, and you're doing a lot more reps and stuff. You're using your joints more, which is a good thing too. But at the same time, you can wear them out, and, you're more likely to get a shoulder or an elbow injury as someone that goes to the gym as opposed to someone who just sits at a desk all day. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. Trust me, I lift pretty light too. I aim for like 12 to 20. I don't.
well, let me ask you this, and this so that way we can wrap things up on this. I'm curious to hear what you actually say on this. So you were like, I agree with some of the things you were saying, but then the one I was like, I don't know if I agree with this one, and I wanted to like push you back on this one and just have a conversation around it. Working out, right, and definitely doing way more volume in the joints than like 99.9% of the population, but putting like tension on them is stress on the joints, right, which can be helpful, right, depending on right. There's a certain amount of stress that is positive stress on the joints to help them be healthier, be more resilient, be less likely to actually get injured. But you had mentioned that, because you're doing this thing, you could have the probability of like increased injury. But how I believe, right, and this goes back to like the mindset, I believe that this is actually helping reduce the risk of injury, and not just because of other people in the gym. I'm talking about the general population, because I'm like in the gym, not only in terms of like, as I mentioned about the diet, the sleep, the water, etc. But then at the gym, right, I'm also stretching every single time we go, foam rolling a couple of times, what I mean, per month I might do the foam rolling, doing cardio on the regular basis, doing like core stuff, which is stuff that I would skip for years and just not train core, and doing like all these different pieces of things related to the health thing. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, I'm actually reducing the risk of injury. But it's interesting. So do you think that that's another story you could tell yourself? And because remember, those stories are going to create their own reality.
Now that you pointed out and kind of reread what I had said, I do agree with you on that. And maybe I should reiterate, not that I don't think that, well, you can injure yourself more by going to the gym, but the way that the majority of the way we do it and the way a lot of guys do it who have been training for a while, doing lightweight stretching, stuff like that, I do think overall that is better for your joints. I think maybe, and I didn't phrase it well or present it well, is that if you're going to the gym every day and using your elbows and your shoulders every day, let's just say, you're going to notice more aches and pains maybe more often. Now, you may not be doing damage to them. You're just, you just feel them more. Whereas Grandma Ethel, who, sits on the couch all day, she goes to reach for a can one day and her shoulder dislocates because it's all frozen. It's never been used. So she may not have had shoulder pain for the past 30 years, but now her shoulder's hanging out of her socket, whereas we maybe feel pain on a more consistent basis because we use our joints more.
I wonder if it's also like, because we've been in the gym for a while, right? Like I see things or notice things about lifting that somebody who has been doing it a lot less doesn't notice, right? Like the little nuances about a specific lift, about squeezing a certain muscle or whatever the case is. Like somebody who hasn't had 20 effing years of fucking experience is not necessarily going to notice. But I think the same thing applies to our physique, because we're aware of what we're doing in the gym. We create an awareness within ourselves of our physique, right? Because the reason I bring this up is my girlfriend, or maybe this was friends, I don't remember, maybe some other girl in the past, I don't honestly.
You better know if she's at home. You better know which one it is.
I'm sure she's not going to be listening to this episode. So this is
I'll email it to her
or something. But I was noticing that my stomach was bloated, and they were saying, "Oh, how they never even had the thought of thinking that their stomach was bloated," and I would realize it then that by us going through this, we actually create more of an awareness inside ourselves of, like, how to flex your muscle. If you go to some random dude who doesn't work out, he doesn't know how to flex his muscle. right? Like, or specifically like in his chest or a back muscle or whatever the case is. We know how to do these things because we've been able to create that awareness. No idea where the fuck I was going with that, but I did. I was like, oh, popped
Here's
into
a
my
random
head.
thing. I remember when I went to high school, when I first started working out, there was a dude who ended up being like one of the linebackers on our football team. His name was Miguel Machado, and he was a big Spanish dude. He's just one of those dudes that's wide shoulders, just a thick looking dude. He could bench like 405 in high school, something like that. But I remember him and some of the other dudes who were football players, they were sitting there bouncing their pecs. And I couldn't do that. I didn't have that muscle control back then. I had just started working out. So now, I've been able to do it for a while, like a couple of weeks or maybe, but no, that's just interesting.
How do you do it? I've never actually practiced. Like, what do you?
Just left, right, left, right, left, right. Just flex left, right. You've never bounced your tits?
I can like that.
No, you go left, right, bro. Left, right, flex, 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 flex. But I was random. I was going to jump onto just random pain while we're sitting here bouncing our tits and no one can see us. But I did back yesterday, right? And I really was really good back workout. But that also works your biceps, bro. I woke up this morning and I woke up and dude, my left bicep was killing me. Went to bed, it was fine. Woke up. I don't know if I was sleeping like where it was like flexed or where if I was sleeping where it was like flexed out. But I woke up and it freaking hurt like hell. Went back to sleep for a little bit, woke up, still hurt like hell. I was randomly thinking about icing it when I woke up, and now it feels fine. So welcome to getting old, Sam.
Was it a soreness or a pain?
A little bit of both. It felt like if you ever slept like weird on a muscle and you kind of wake up and it was kind of like that. But I just worked out back yesterday, so my biceps are a little bit sore. But yeah, welcome to getting old, bud. It sucks. All those little two elbows that you're strengthening and doing light weights, they're going to hurt either way. It sucks.
My like arms fall asleep all the time in bed. So I sleep on my back because if I sleep on my side, my arm goes numb after a very short period of time. It doesn't matter if it's left or the right side. And I can't sleep on my stomach because my back hurts. So I sleep on my back. And if I sleep on my back with my arms by my side, like say across my stomach or something, my arms fall asleep. Like, I don't know what it is. There's like, I feel, this is my theory. No idea if there's any validity to this, but there's a vein. This is in my mind. Remember, I have no idea if this is accurate, but there's like a vein or some blood flow on the back of my tricep, right? And as it's putting on the bed, that like it cuts off the circulation because it's just sitting there dead weight, and the blood can't, because it's also angled up to my stomach, right? Because my elbows are lower and I'm laying on my back. It can't get the blood up to my fingers and hands, and then my hands go numb. And that's my theory on why that happens. Do you ever get your like arms? Mine go numb all the time in bed.
No, not particularly. I think a couple of reasons for that is that all your veins are, right up at the skin. So you put your arm on something, you're cutting off the veins, whereas I've got a little bit of padding here to help prevent that. Well, I was going to have a random question. I mean, when was the last time do you ever have high hematocrit?
We should get our blood work done together, like at the same time, and cover it on the show.
Twinsies. No, I was going to say, because the reason I was going to say that is one of the first indicators I ever had of high hematocrit, probably within the first year that I started TRT, is I was like sitting there, like looking at my phone on the couch in front of the TV, and my fingers started going numb. And then a lot easier when I was like sitting, you sit on the toilet and you stare at your phone, you put your elbows across your knees, my fingers would tingle a lot more. They would go to sleep like pins and needles a lot more. That can be from high hematocrit. Because your blood's thicker, so it's like thicker oil. It's harder to pump through those extremities, where if it's thinner, it can get through there.
What is that? What is that called when you an intervention, right? Is that what it's called, an intervention? Where like there's somebody who like needs to take care of something in their life because they're a drug addict or they're like mean to their wife or something.
I mean, do I need to like walk out in my living room or something? Or are you telling me something?
It's like this is the intervention, because I don't remember the last time I checked the hematocrit. I checked my lipids. Probably,
I mean, the hematocrit's going to be in the complete blood count. So you're going to get red blood count, hematocrit, hemoglobin. I mean,
add that to my list of things to do.
I mean,
I
you
feel
could also just, well, I mean, I would probably get lab work just to see where you're at. So you can say, okay, I haven't donated blood or I haven't done this in, 8 months or whatever. This is where my hematocrit is. If I were to donate a pint of blood, it should in theory drop about 3 points in general. And there's even conflicting thoughts. People talk about polyphysemia and some people say TRT. There's people that live on the top of mountains with 65 hematocrit. So why are you worried about it at 55 on TRT? And then there's people that are like, yo, you're going to fucking stroke out at 53. You need to get, you need to donate blood now to get. So that's probably for another show where I think we're tapping almost an hour now.
Yeah. So this has been a good show. If you guys enjoyed the show, if you're listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, take a second, leave us a review. It is tremendously helpful. Also, if you have any other friends that like drugs and like steroids and shit like that, share this episode with them.
Yeah, tell your druggie and junkie steroid abuser friends to come listen to us.
That's exactly the type of audience we want.
That's good times.
If you're listening to any of the podcast, also, if you're watching, reach out to us on Instagram. Take a screenshot if you're listening on Apple or Google or Spotify. Take a screenshot of your review, tag us and post it on Instagram, and we'll do something special, whether it's a group call or bring you onto the podcast, or we'll figure out a reward for you if you do that, or maybe some free triggered product or something like that if you do that thing.
I'm not giving you guys shit. You guys should be sharing this anyway.
Where
around. The only thing I would say, at least for me, just being greedy and trying to, is check out men testosterone and men's health on YouTube. That's my new YouTube channel. Test Your Levels got censored by YouTube because they told me that their algorithm thought that I was selling Dianabol, which anyway. But yeah, check me out on YouTube. That's about all I have to say.
Cool. Appreciate you. And now let's see. How do we end the show?
That was kind of a weird ending. All right, guys. Peace out. See you on the